Welcome to William Steele True Crime and Steele the Spotlight Television. This is William Steele. Listen, we have a very special guest host today back, as usual, every week. My very reliable co-host, Ignacio Esteban, retired ATF, author of over 80 books, voice on cases on Gangland Chronicles History Channel. With us today, we have another special guest going to jump in right from the beginning. We don't know how long he's going to give us his time. He's a busy guy. Lou Balistrieri, we call him Louie B because some of us get tongue tied. And Louie was an organized crime detective in New York City for many, many, many years and helped make one of the most gargantuan cases against the Gambinos and Genovese crime families, known as the Wasteland case. Without further ado, let me introduce everybody. Hello.
Good morning.
There you go.
All right, I like that. I like that look. Louie, nice to see you, man. Nice to meet you.
I blew my hair out. I feel good.
Looking good. Looking good.
Catching up to you.
You guys, I still got a little bit left. I'm fighting it. I'm fighting it.
You got a hell of a lot more.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I get a lot of slack from my family for it.
I will say this before we get into the small talk now, and Louis can further clarify his experience and everything and introduce what's going on here. So Louis has recently come out of the closet, so to speak. He's got a documentary. He's got a documentary out. When I say that, I mean he's ripping the lid off organized crime cases. He's worked on in New York, the good, bad, and the ugly of enforcing law in New York City, and the problem with supervisors, the good supervisors, the bad ones. He's gentleman enough, not necessarily to always name names because, you know, just the way he is, a good guy. So I got to know him. He gave me an incredible 5-hour interview. We're putting it out in pieces. He's also agreed to be my co-host for Mafia Mondays. There goes Lou. And there goes a little artwork I designed for the show.
Nice. So, looks good.
Thank you. And then if I can find the Wasteland poster, we have it here somewhere. There it is. Documentary out about Lou. That's going to be out soon. I think very publicly. A few select people have seen it. And Lou's going to Vegas soon to promote his books and his life and his projects. So
we'll talk some politics too.
Yep. So we're going to be jumping all over the map here today, but I really want to introduce Louie and Mafia Monday's new show on this channel. Lou, tell my audience who you are and entertain us, please, because you're fascinating.
I'm just a regular guy. What do you want me to talk about?
Well, first of all, you were New York City top. You started, I think, in '84. It was Lower East Side, right? And then you were known as a boss fighter, and then you ended up on organized crime cases. And you didn't kind of want to do that, but that's where you ended up.
What happened to me is I grew up in the streets of Brooklyn and in Long Island in all organized crime areas. I got to meet and know a lot of organized crime guys. And my story really is no different than a lot of other guys, cops especially, that grew up in these areas. If you grew up in an Italian neighborhood in Brooklyn, you knew somebody. I just tell the truth about it now. And a lot of people kicked it under the rug, but it didn't make me a bad guy. And that's what I did.
Yeah, you do see a lot of that. I've been ever since I retired. I don't know how long you retired, Lou. I retired about just under 3 years with ATF.
1997, I retired.
97. Okay.
Right. Well, I retired on a disability. While doing this case, I got hit in a freak accident. I got hit in the elbow by a door. It took the tip of my elbow off and crushed my ulnar nerve.
Jeez.
So I lost 30% use of my arm. And the New York City Police Department, they did not want to. They didn't take care of me the way I felt they should. I needed a specific brace after I had surgery. I went to one of their doctors, and the brace, they wanted to pay $300 for this brace, and the brace was several $1,000s. And because they didn't want to pay it, 6 months went by, and my elbow locked. The capsules in my elbow got entrapped with scar tissue, and I couldn't bend my elbow more than 90 degrees. So I couldn't even touch my nose.
Jeez, that's awful.
I couldn't make a tie. I couldn't brush my teeth if I had to. So
was that your left or right arm?
That's my left arm.
Oh, your left is still. Are you right-handed?
I'm a martial arts guy, so I'm ambidextrous in terms of doing what I have to do. I write with my right hand, but you need two hands to be a cop.
Sure.
You
Absolutely.
cannot load a gun with one arm. You can't handcuff somebody with one arm. You need two arms to be a cop, and that's the bottom line. And the New York City Police Department, they screwed me in that manner. That's a show for another day. In my opinion, one of the most corrupt units in the police department is health services. If you're a chief and they like you, I heard of chiefs getting a disability 3/4 pension because they heard the buildings fall on 9/11 and went deaf. Okay. You know what I'm saying? I struggle.
Yeah, you heard that. A lot of people went on disability after 9/11 for sure.
Well,
health reasons and stuff.
People deserve it. 9/11 is a story in itself. There are, when you ask how many people died in 9/11, I'll ask you guys.
Different numbers, right? All depends at the scene, or you're talking about later because of other
That's
factors.
correct.
Yeah,
that's correct.
I would say other factors, and especially inhaling, people went out there.
That's correct.
It could be over 10,000 plus, easy.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. And we're going to lose more and more and more. Sure. I went down to down to the hole one day, okay? And I could not believe what I was seeing. I was already retired. I had a 1-year-old daughter. My wife was a cop, and she was working in personnel, so she set up morgues and what have you at Shea Stadium, and she had to do it. I lost her for several weeks. She wasn't home. She'd come home, take a shower, get clothes, go back to the precinct. My partner Vic Fiabani, he was down the hole. He was down there for a long time, and he'll tell you it definitely changed your life. Okay, what I saw, how could I describe it? It was very solemn. Okay, there was dust all over the place. People were walking around in a fog with their head down, and I went down there to help. I brought shovels and this and that, and I had my own mask, and I said, there is no way in hell that people are not going to get sick from this.
Common sense. Yeah,
I'll say this loud and clear: Rudy Giuliani and Christy Todd Whitman are liars. They got blood on their hands from all of these cops, firemen, and first responders that they told the air quality was pure. Okay, and Rudy Giuliani went down there. He had his handkerchief over his nose like he was really doing something. And as I understand it, those were all videos set up to make him look like he was really doing something. And I was digging for my friends. He was digging for nothing. Okay, that was all politically motivated propaganda.
Yeah, that was awful.
Absolutely. So I don't like him, and I don't like Christy Todd Whitman for that also.
Yeah, but Giuliani himself. I'm sorry, but go ahead.
Yeah, there's other reasons that you've ultimately had other issues, and you really do know the inside scoop with Giuliani. Yes. A lot of this is coming to light. A lot of what we're talking about here has already been in the media and reported by other people who know, the character we're dealing with. Yeah, he did good. He cleaned up Times Square, I guess, and you guys did a good job,
Well,
doing that.
And then he gets himself in trouble later. So he has his own legal issues.
Here's if he did none of the above, here's the biggest kick in between the legs that this guy did to us. He stood on the steps of City Hall when he was running for mayor. He got all those cops there to support him, and this, that, every other thing. While he was in office, he never gave us a raise. So that's a true story. So I despise him.
Let me ask you this, Lou. Since I do a lot of politics in my background, with ATF and everything else here, and you're a New York guy. I know you've been out in New York for a while, but what you rather have, a Giuliani or Bill de Blasio?
Giuliani.
Okay, so
I'm not saying that he didn't. He did a lot of good things, but Bill Bratton he brought in, which helped us a lot. We got his support, but we did the work. Give us the money. Do the right thing. Come on.
Right.
I heard everybody was very resentful that he would come in. They brought him in from Boston. Like, who is this guy? He's not a New York guy. What does he know about the city? And yet he did great. Is that accurate?
I liked him. I have to be honest with you. You know,
What about Eric Adams?
Eric Adams.
Blasio or Adams? That's a loser.
Oh,
lose.
That's Satan and Satan's son.
If that's the choice would be the
that's a bad one. And now people may or may not know Adams is in big trouble. He's in big trouble. One of his top campaign managers' aides now is cooperating with the FBI because she's a liaison with Turkey, and I guess the Turkish government was bundling a lot of contributions for favors in New York City, which was illegal, and he was hiding it allegedly. But that's what the big investigation is coming about. He's in trouble. It looks like he's in trouble because when you put, and not only that, they had major 2 search warrants. They seized his computer. They seized his phone. I mean, this is a big story. Those who don't know, when you see that to a mayor and the FBI is doing that, that means there's smoke bill, there's fire. They've got what they want, and they're going. I'll be surprised if Adams is not indicted probably within the next few months.
When did they seize this stuff? When was the raid seizing that stuff?
A few months ago.
Okay, yeah, I do remember that actually. Yeah.
That's a big story. That was a big story. You can't forget. That was all over that. In fact, he was going to a big conference. He turns around when the plane lands. I got to go back to New York City. He's in trouble. But this is what bigger news. That's old news. His top aide has now decided to cooperate with the FBI, who is the liaison from Turkey, who's helping him funnel the money from Turkey to his campaign. He's in trouble. He is in trouble. So maybe Bellagio wasn't that stupid like Adams is. Well, he was a former captain, right, in NYPD?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Let me tell you, he was not well liked by anyone that came in contact with him that I know. Okay. Here is he started an organization called 1,000 Blacks in Law Enforcement. Okay. If I did 1,000 Italians or 1,000 white guys in law enforcement, they would lock me up for that. And what he would do is if there was an iffy incident with police and a black guy or whatever, he would go there and support them. If cops shot somebody, he would go there and support them. And you don't do that, okay? When you decide you're going to be a cop, you are blue.
Right.
Okay, I work with a lot of great black guys that enforce the law equally across the board. And that's the way I try to be a cop. But
yeah,
he's a racist. I said it. That's who he is. That's what he is. He's a racist. He's got a brother. My wife worked with his brother. The nicest, well-respected guy. Eric Adams, with the exception of the black guys that support him, nobody has anything good to say about him. And listen, he's got the color of the day, and that's the reason why he's the mayor. Yeah,
and they needed also and SLUA kind of got a good message out there. I mean, I know Bill also worked a little bit when you were back in the day, right, Bill, in the 70s, Guardian Angels, and you have some interesting stories back when out there. What's your take on the Guardian Angels since you were out there, Louis?
Me?
Yeah.
Some of them were very rambunctious, and they thought they were cops, and they had a good, they if they would have just reported the crimes, be on the scene observers, and so on and so forth, they would help us out a lot. I know my partner was a big fan of them because he worked up in Midtown South Precinct, which was it's the busiest police precinct in the world. I worked on the Lower East Side, and a lot of times I never had really any big interactions with them, but they walked around like they looked like a gang. The younger bucks, who had something to prove. Just like the auxiliary cops. I'm not a fan of auxiliary cops. Okay. That's just my opinion.
Right.
But they had a purpose, and if they could have been a very big deterrent. You don't want people
to be
watching
clear,
you while you do a crime.
Right. So to be clear, Vic worked in Midtown South, the biggest police section or precinct in the United States. Like I think it was 600 officers in the world. Now it's got transportation hubs. It's got Port Authority, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Correct.
And then that was one of the
Grand
other stations.
Station.
Right. So therefore, the Guardian Angels initially rode the subways. They rode the transportation hubs, which is why Vic in that area of the city would have had way more interaction with them.
They were helpful. Don't get me wrong, but you have to remember that they weren't cops. They had a good place. Call the police. You see a problem, render aid to somebody who was robbed or whatever. but
Right.
don't get involved because it becomes you become a victim as well, and you're playing with what your authority is. Making citizens arrests.
Isn't that how the reputation become vigilantes came about? They got a little too proactive.
I don't think they're vigilantes. That's my opinion.
Good.
I don't think they rose to that level.
No.
Okay, good.
And as a matter of fact, I think I told both of you guys separately. I was a guardian angel many years ago. I think it was in the second or third grouping of them, and we would patrol from like Brighton Beach or Coney Island all the way up and down the D line into the city. I forgot where we ended, but we met at like DeKalb or something. And so what we would have to do, you couldn't put on your hat and that little white T-shirt and all that until the entire patrol, ideally 10 people, was together, and then everybody would put that on so that you're not riding alone with that stuff on. And we had a guy when we were waiting for everybody. There was like 4 or 5 of us present, and this guy stopped the turnstile jumper. A guy was jumping the turnstile to use the phone, because back then the pay phones. And he went in there to use it, and this guardian angel, hey, you can't do that. Get back on the other side, And he says, man, who the hell are you? I'm a guardian angel. And he started a big commotion. This guy got so pissed off, he jumped back over. He says, I'll be right back. He came in with 20, 30 more people into that train station. We're half the patrol, and it's, it wasn't the best neighborhood. And all these guys come in, and they wanted to jump on all of us. And that guy stood up. He said, no, I don't want them. They try to talk sense into this, mother effer. And he took out a knife, and he stabbed the guy right in the chest, standing right next to me.
Yeah.
I quit the Guardian Angels right after that.
I got your attention, huh, Bill? You say, I don't want anything with that, huh?
Yeah, because
I think if they were, like you said, look, if they were more like, if you see something, say something. If you help somebody, I think the whole notion, especially when I've seen the subway. I've been in New York City a few times. I did a lot of with ATF UN details, UNGA details and stuff, and I worked a lot with NYPD and State Department and different people, and I have to hop on the subways, and there's a lot of characters, a lot of people, mental health issues. It's a bunch of wacko weirdos. I think for someone who's an old person, someone who's frail, I think it's nice to know there's someone that can maybe interject a little bit. Someone's trying, stab them or hurt them or whatever. Because you're seeing a lot of bad things in the subways and shootings. You probably saw that mass shooting that happened. Was it last year that injured about 36? That guy. So the bad guys always have guns, and that's one thing I don't like about New York City or Chicago or LA. They want to victimize, and being an ATF guy and being very pro Second Amendment, and want to victimize people while the bad guys are armed to the teeth, while they have these gun-free areas, which don't make sense because the criminals, as you know, Lou, don't follow the laws, and they do whatever they want. That's why I live in a red state, because I could never live in a blue state where you can't have a concealed weapons, you can't be carrying, you can't protect yourself. That's no good.
Well, I'm going to go to the opposite side of that spectrum. I am very, very, very pro-gun. I think everybody that deserves to have a gun should have one. In the state of Alabama, where I live, at age 18, you could get a firearm. Nobody needs to have a permit. I am totally...
No, for sure. That's like Florida.
I disagree with that, because you got these young bucks who are street thugs. And
they can't. No.
The big gun down here was these pistol-type AR-15s and pistol-type AK-47s. Now, I carry a Glock 9mm. I don't go with 147 grain ammo, which has got the stopping power of a 40. I do not go to I don't go to the bathroom without a 9mm with me, so to speak.
Yeah, I have guns all over the house. Let's just say that. Different rooms.
I'm not even going to give that up.
I want to know if you come in, be prepared. You got to have your hands up, and not just handguns, but rifles, everything else. But that's just my background with ATF. ATF is the agency of all the fun, and we shoot a lot. We shoot everything. We're shooting every quarter. That's one thing and gives you the expertise and knowledge. But back to that, I know you disagree, but I think bad people, there's a problem. But those who are law-abiding, who are intelligent and are trained, you need to be armed, protected early at a young age.
Correct. Completely agree. Know the law, practice. Yeah. A lot of people went out there buying guns and can't load them. I have a friend of mine. I got to get a shotgun for my house. He calls me on the telephone. What do I do with this? How do I do that? I said, listen, put it back in the box till I get there.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm an NRA pistol instructor. I enjoy shooting.
Good. Me too. Yeah.
In addition to that, I'm a martial arts guy. I developed a program. I could teach you to take a firearm from someone in 25/100ths of a second. It took me 10 years to develop 5 techniques. Okay. I am more dangerous with a knife than I am with a gun. And, that's just the way it is.
Louis was a judo instructor and something with the Olympics, Olympic team or something.
No, I didn't go to the Olympics. I'm certified to teach Olympic style judo.
Oh, Olympic style judo. Gotcha. That's good. All kind of training is good, because if you don't have your weapon, it's good to have other training with ATF. And I had partners who was a high ranking, I think 10th degree black belt.
That's very high.
Yeah, he loved it. He used to train with Chuck Norris, and he was back in the day, I think he won the gold medal in the Pan Am Games in San Juan back in the late 70s.
That's Taekwondo.
Taekwondo, yeah.
Okay. I have a second degree black belt in Taekwondo with a great amount of respect. The street doesn't care.
No.
See, these what you're talking about, judo, Taekwondo, Brazilian Jiu, they have rules. Rules keep you safe.
Right.
Okay. There is, when you get out there on the street, there's nobody calling points for you. There's nobody going to tell you to stop when the guy taps in the street.
That's what you got to be done. Yeah.
The only rule is I'm going home.
I agree 100%. The streets have their own rules, and that's why you got to be armed, protected, because they don't play right either. And that's why I always love having. It gets my shield. I always call my gun my shield. I'm really highly trained. I shoot since I was. My dad taught me how to shoot. He was a gun enthusiast himself. I've been shooting pretty much my entire adult life. I was prior customs before ATF, and I've always feel comfortable. But the key is, like you said, you have to understand the law. You have to understand when you can and you can't. If you can retreat, I always tell people, always retreat and leave, because it's not worth the headache and the situation you have to deal with afterwards. If it's a questionable shoot, especially in today's culture, and especially if you are in a blue state and they have they're coming after you. They'll come after you to make an example of you. So
I will say this from my point of view, especially for your audience, Lou, who's going to hopefully start watching my shows, and Ignacio and realize who we are. I have a network show on A&E Network. He's involved with one on History Channel, and you're blowing up. You're about to go to Vegas. Now, from my point of view, you guys all know, and my audience knows, and Ignacio knows, and I've tipped you off. I've been in prison before. I was a professional jewel and art thief. You guys are exactly the house that I would be scared to death that I would accidentally stumble across.
I like putting the signs: forget the dog, beware the owner, and the guns been coming out.
Let me take this a step further. Are you familiar with Dragon's Breath?
Man, that sounds familiar. Oh, that's the ammunition that has the flames coming out of it.
You got it.
Yeah.
That's for the people that wear bulletproof vests. Okay, I'll shoot them.
Doesn't that melt your barrel? Doesn't that melt your barrel?
That's why I always go for headshots, Louis.
Okay.
3 headshots. So remember 2 to the chest, 1 to the head? No, 3 to the head.
Okay. Listen. What you said is 3 is the key. When I teach any type of self-defense or what have you, I call it the rule of 3s. ABC, CBS, NBC, Three Wise Men, Three Stooges, Most Holy Trinity, CIA, FBI, ATF. What's with the number 3? 3 is a psychological number. The human mind can take 3 things and spit them right back out at you without thinking. That's why ingrained in your brain is 3. Boom, boom, boom. Now, I agree with that, except what I do, I don't use sights. Okay. And
open eye shooting?
Yes. And what I do is I point my first round, I drop and I push the gun out and I develop a grip. I don't care. Well, let me get in front of this.
You gotta go right straight up. Yep.
I don't care if the gun goes up. I want it to go up. I worry about this coming back and forth because then I'm off the target. So what I do is my first round, as I drop low, I punch it out and I squeeze. Sure. And I want to catch you in the pelvic girdle, which is just above or below your belt level. As the gun is rising, the second round, hopefully I'm going to catch you in the chest. And the third round is going to catch you in the throat, face. And I'm ingrained. This is ingrained in my brain, and that's the way I shoot. I don't even have to aim.
Yeah, that's good. Open eye shooting right in the middle of the body and gives you, because every second counts. And you're right. Every time you're dealing with a bad guy and you can get an extra round out there, that's a good thing. And yes, that's really good.
Have you ever been in a shootout?
Yeah, I was in a shootout with a guy who was coming at us, and one of my partners had to open up on him.
Mm-hmm. I had a guy step out from behind the van and fire 3 rounds at me. I couldn't stop blinking. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like,
No,
I don't believe this is happening.
you can't be in the white zone. You got to be always in orange or red.
I had to shift gears, and he started to move. And what he did was he went in front of a lady who saw what was going on, and she covered her kids. And I was afraid to return fire because I was afraid of hitting the kid or hitting, God forbid.
Yeah, no, you got to be careful. Yeah.
Okay. One of the things that I'm very proud of is I had 6 opportunities to take a human life in the line of duty that were 1,000% legitimate, and I didn't kill anybody. I gave them every opportunity. That's just the way I was. See, what people don't know, when a police officer uses deadly physical force, he has to go in front of his department, and then they'll still impanel a grand jury, and the grand jury is going to determine if he was right using that amount of force. Now, you got 3 deadheads on a grand jury who are clueless, who have no idea what it means to be scared. Okay, and you have to react in a nanosecond. This runs through your mind. You have to register it and then return fire. I'm human. I make mistakes. Thank God I never had the opportunity to hurt anybody with a firearm. People say to me, would you kill somebody? In a heartbeat.
Well, if you have to, if it's you or them, of course, in them, we have to go back to our families. Of course.
One of the reasons why I did not kill these people, did not shoot them, is because of what's going to happen after the fact. What is my family going to go through? What do I have to go through?
The media, the trauma, everything. And exactly. I tell people the same thing, not law enforcement, but the average person who has a concealed weapons permit. And let's say they're in a confrontation. I always say, if you can leave the whole situation, go ahead. Only if you're trapped, you're contained, you have no way out, you fear for your life, then you engage, because it could be hell rain on you, what could happen. And then you have to go through a trial. You
may be 10,000% correct, but you're going to spend $50,000 defending yourself.
Easy. Remember Hollywood Wade, Bill?
No.
Yeah.
We've been on his show, Crime Entertainment. He had, I listened to his story. He had, and this was in his own home, and I'm paraphrasing the whole story pretty much. He knew the guy. He came in.
Hang on one second.
They had it. Yeah.
Hang on one second, Ignacio. Lou, you spoke to him. Hollywood Wade, Crime and Entertainment. You're going to be on his show.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
so
yeah. I didn't know him as Hollywood.
Hollywood Wade. Yeah, Wade. That's what he likes.
Matter of fact, I'm doing a podcast with him tomorrow.
Oh, right. I've done like 12 of them, 15 of them. And you say hi. They say Ignacio says hi and all that. We maybe met in Charleston, had a few beers a few months ago. So he's a good dude. But he went through a huge trauma, almost destroyed his life. If he wants to talk to you about it, I think that'll be unbelievable. In his own house, it's been years pending if they're going to indict him or not. And it was self-defense, and he shot the guy in his house who trying to kill him. And it was horrible. He spent, I think, over $100,000 in legal fees. $100,000. It's a horrible situation.
There are several companies out there now that will sell you insurance and will give you an attorney to defend you. And it's something that I should have, but I don't have. And also, they'll defend you if you don't use deadly physical force. Say you get into a fist fight to defend yourself, and you get arrested, they'll pay for your legal fees as well. It's a shame. We have to walk in this world today.
No, that's a reality. That's an absolute reality, because there are all these groups out there out to get you, from back on the BLMs and everybody else who said, oh, law enforcement was involved, retired law enforcement was involved. Let's try to make an example. And especially if you live in a blue state, that's game on. They come after you because the Democrats run and they want to make an example. They could demonize the weapon. They want to demonize the weapon, demonize you for having a weapon, and make an example of you. While you're in a red state, like let's say Florida, Virginia. Virginia's become more red now with Youngkin. That's where I live now. I grew up in Florida. I worked in Miami. I worked in Tampa, where it's easy enough to buy guns. You don't need permits. You can buy as many as you want. You're only limited to the amount in your credit card, what you can buy. Some places you're only allowed to buy one a month. That's unbelievable. It's good for some things, but it's not good for the average person who wants to protect themselves and is a collector, not a trafficker. I always say collectors collect. Traffickers says, if you're buying guns and flipping guns for profit, you're a firearms trafficker and you're looking at problems. Collectors, keep your guns. If you're flipping guns, you need to get a license. That's unfortunate.
I'm an avid hunter, and every firearm that I own has a purpose. You go turkey hunting, you don't use a 30-30 lever action rifle. You don't use a 30-06. You know, I have different shotguns for duck hunting, different shotguns for with chokes or what have you for turkey hunting. I have different long range firearms for the area that I'm hunting in. Traditionally, the 30-30 was used upstate New York when I first started hunting because there's a lot of brush. But you know, I'm a big gun guy. I enjoy it. I like it.
Sure.
I'm never without one.
Yeah,
That's just me.
Yeah, I'm not a hunter, but I like having weapons for self-defense, all kinds. Between I have different rifles. I have shotguns. I have handguns. We used to use a lot a 6-hour. We had the 40, then went to the 9, then we transitioned to Glocks. I like the Glock 19. I think it's in the middle. I like it, and I use hollow point. I like hollow point ammo. I like to make sure more stopping power.
Exactly.
You know, all the things I like. Bonded. If you can do it bonded, even better. Bonded ammo. It's the law enforcement stays together better. That's what you want to do. You want to maximize as much damage as you can inside their organs. So that's what you don't want anybody else getting hurt. You want the individual who's trying to hurt you to be stopped. That's the whole idea of that. So
agreed.
Yeah. So those are little tips we tell people. And Bill and I talk. Hopefully you enjoy our show a little bit. And I'll be looking at you guys too on what's it called? Mafia Mondays?
Mafia Mondays.
Yeah, it'll be Mafia Mondays. And I did want to add, you know, I kind of smirk a little bit when you guys talk about all this because I was on the opposite end of the law. And again, my biggest fear in doing a burglary, usually mine were very planned that I knew who was there in their hours, but occasionally my biggest fear was going into a house and there's like a sleeping law enforcement officer and they're a SWAT team guy. Because I've been shot at before during burglaries. Don't get me wrong. That happened twice. But thank God I didn't go into the home of a cop. I usually, you know, and that's why I believe, you know, my faith I've shared with you guys is I'm not a Bible thumper by far, but I've always known God's had his hand on my life for a different purpose than doing what I was doing. And I would always go in and like Lord, please don't let me get killed in here. I would pray before doing a burglary. Yeah.
You should tell him about Nick Navarro. You know who Nick Navarro was, Louis?
No.
He was a big sheriff in Broward County. Are you familiar with Florida or not really?
Not at all.
Okay, you have Dade County, Miami, and then Broward. Right? He did the cop show, the Cuban cop. He wrote the Cuban cop book, and Bill didn't realize he had hit his house.
Well, that's good.
I hit the sheriff's house right in the inception of the cops program, and his department and him was featured on like every one of like the original several seasons of episodes of Cops, right?
Mm-hmm.
The white-haired sheriff guy you'll see in Broward County, Fort Lauderdale. So I hit his house one day. I go in. Let me see. I went actually through a window in the guest bedroom. There's a detective 5-shot special Colt pistol sitting there covered in dust, right? Just sitting there, no holster, not in a drawer. And in Florida, it could be a life sentence if you steal a gun during a burglary. I didn't notice at the time.
Yeah.
I take the gun. I look. It's loaded. I say, okay, well, as long as there might be more in here and there might be a person in here, I might as well. So I cock the gun and I'm walking through the house and I go past the front door and I hear, and I'm like, I thought somebody cocked the gun on me. I heard a click. And I looked over, and it's an old school photoelectric eye, the old ones that had the beam of light at his door. This is in the 80s. And so the relay inside that thing makes a little click, and the house was dead quiet. And this house, I will say, he was living way outside of his means. There was allegations of being involved with traffickers and stuff back in the day, you know, whatever. I'm not going to get into all that. But so I go to the bedroom, I get the jewelry box, I get the bag that's there. And there was some stuff in that bag that shouldn't have been in the sheriff's house, okay? So when I get to my place, and then going through the jewelry box, there's DEA tie tags, cufflinks, and all this stuff. Because I'm pretty sure he used to be a DEA agent before he got started, or he was involved with them in different task force.
They do a task force together, yeah.
Right. And there was a card with the presidential seal on of the United States in his jewelry box. I open it up. It says, "Dear Sheriff Nick Navarro, thank you for your assistance with the South Florida Drug Task Force. Sincerely, President Ronald Reagan." Right? I got that from his house. Wow. And then there's the ID. And I saw the picture and I said, "Oh, a cop's house, you know, no big deal." And then I picked it back up. I said, "The sheriff." The current elected sheriff.
I better get out quickly.
I flew out to Los Angeles the next day. I was living with a bunch of girls from Ireland and England. I said, "Hey, who wants to go to LA?" I bought tickets for everybody. We left.
Oh, man. You're lucky at that one. You live to tell that one.
Getting back to owning a firearm, it's a tremendous responsibility.
It is.
Okay. You have to remember he's talking about a burglary. Correct me if I'm mistaken. The first place, this is what I was told by a burglar. The first place they look is under the bed for a gun, and they look in the closets for a gun. Okay. I hide my guns in plain sight. I'm not going to give everybody. I don't want to advertise how I hide my guns because then all the bad guys will know. But you know, another thing is they have a gun, but it's not loaded.
Yeah.
Okay, I got my gun. It's in the safe. Oh, that's good.
No good. Yeah, that's no good.
Tell the guy, wait. Have a cup of coffee while I load my gun. You got to be able. You got to be ready. I have my defensive weapon for my home is a shotgun. I keep it loaded, but I don't keep anything in the chamber because the pump shotgun has a universal language that goes, shh, shh. Come on in, buddy. I got something for you.
Get their attention. Yeah,
that's right. They understand that.
I like my handgun and my nightstand right next to me. So I hear something, I reach out to it. It's loaded, and I have night sights on it. So if it's nighttime, I have night sights. I can see perfectly right there, and I'm ready to address the target when they come in. But also, Bill and I have done shows. I know not everybody can afford it, but if you can get a decent security system, that helps. If you get some cameras, and just put signs around that says you have a big bad dog, and just scare people or things that make them think twice. Come over your fence, big dog, be careful.
I have lighting around my house as well. My house lights up like Coney Island.
That's good too. I agree with that. Yeah, you have to dark and don't leave your windows open at night. Don't leave your doors unlocked. You know, it's amazing what people do still, and it's like, man, we're living in this time, and people don't lock their doors. People don't even lock their, secure the windows. Not smart. Not smart at all.
Come to my house without an invitation, and your mama's going to be crying.
Yeah,
I'm so glad I met you two in my retirement.
Retirement, right, Bill?
Rather than when I was actively doing things over 20 years ago. So, all right.
Listen, I wasn't the nicest guy. I just didn't get caught.
How did you get involved in law enforcement then, Louis?
My father was a retired cop. His brother's a retired cop. I'm from a family of 14 cops.
14.
And
wow.
My ex-father-in-law was a retired detective. And I was doing things, and I went to work for an insurance company, and I started doing things with the insurance company. And then I decided I was getting married, and I needed some type of stable environment to live in with benefits and so on and so forth. And so I took all of the police tests, the fire department, all the civil service exams. And corrections called me, and I wrote very high on their tests, and I didn't want to go to jail because that's basically what you're doing. Yeah. And the NYPD called me on a Tuesday night or a Wednesday night, and they said, if you're interested in a job, I thought they were lying, come to Brooklyn College tomorrow at 9 o'clock, whatever it was. And I did it, and I never looked back.
And you were how many years you do with NYPD?
13 and a half.
13 and a half.
Okay, but very, very active 13 and a half. I love being a cop. I just did not like being a New York City cop.
You don't like the politics like everybody else does.
You got to support your cops. Okay, yeah. I had my own set of rules, and that's the way I ran. And my reputation was that I was a boss fighter because they couldn't control me. I wasn't afraid of them. No. First, I had a look. First, I'm a man, then I'm a cop. Because you got stars or stripes or bars or eagles on your shoulders doesn't mean you could dump all over me. If I did something wrong, and I never did anything wrong, okay, we had what was called command disciplines. Sure. And if they found you guilty, they took time from you. They took, 10 days pay, 15 days pay. Mm-hmm. I never gave up 10 minutes pay because I did nothing wrong. That's just who I was.
Let me ask you this, Louis. And then what do you think? I was interviewed. I did a show with Michael Dowd, right? The famous Michael Dowd. Right. He has a documentary. He has a show now, Good Cop, Bad Cop. Right. And with Nick, shout out to Nick Jarossi. He's a former Philly cop who's now brought in. And that show should be coming out, I think, in about a month or so that I did with him. Unbelievable stories. What do you think of someone like that, or the corruption that you saw in New York?
I'm not a fan of Michael Dowd. He might be the nicest guy in the world. Okay, I would like to sit down and talk to him. What he did, he gave all cops a black eye. Now, I possibly can understand why he did what he did. Okay, these guys are making tons of money out there doing drugs and so on and so forth, and we're making less than $50,000 a year risking our lives.
Right.
But I couldn't tarnish my shield. I, as a cop, never took a payoff. I never stole drugs. I never ripped off drug dealers. I never ripped off. That was just, I gave a lot of beatings, but I was not.
You don't want to go to jail. For me, I saw a lot of corruption too. I would not want to give my freedom. I love my freedom too much, and I don't want to tarnish my family's name, my reputation, and anything like that. If you have a good moral compass, then those stuff never happens. If you don't have one, then.
Well, back in the 80s when I was on the job, we were more self-policed, so to speak. If you were doing something that wasn't right, somebody would tape up your locker. A little bit of a warning. Okay, if that didn't get through your thick skull, you would come into work and your locker would be in the shower with the water on it upside down. If that didn't work, you'll come in and you can't find your locker because somebody threw it out the window.
But it doesn't seem like that didn't happen in the 75 precinct, though. The whole thing was underwater.
I don't know what was. Maybe there was. I don't want to have to give up another cop.
No.
Okay. I stayed away from. I work with some idiots. For instance, we had a homicide in the precinct. Okay. Now there was a car that was brought back to the command that had to go. It was like on a sergeant's parking spot, and I believe it was a Porsche, and it had to be dusted. We were waiting. It happened during the night, and we were waiting for the latent fingerprint team to come down and dust it and do all their thing. Now I wasn't a part of this. I was home sleeping, and the following day, the car was vouched as evidence. We had a cop. I don't want to mention his name. He's no longer a cop because he was an idiot. He came into the precinct on his meal, went into the property voucher room, opened up the voucher, which is tampering with evidence, took the keys to the car, went out on Delancey Street and was doing hole shots in uniform with this vouchered evidentiary material car. And what happens? He gets in a chase with the patrol supervisor.
Really? Unbelievable.
I don't want to work with a guy like that. Okay,
no, absolutely. It's going to get you jammed up.
Listen, he couldn't. I'd have to punch him out.
He don't. And this guy seems like he's like you see, he's a knucklehead that doesn't listen, or he has bad ideas.
Major league knucklehead.
Wow.
Okay,
and that's evidence for a homicide case that he's tampering. He's tainted. That's awful.
He got jammed and he was no longer a cop. But
there's a lot of people like that. But it seems just listen to Dowd's documentary and listen to him talk and everything else. I guess his family were. I mean, father I think was a firefighter. His brother was NYPD, and he was squared away. But unfortunately, he went the ways with the Dominicans and working with the cartels, and the money was too big, and they went the wrong way, and that's awful.
If you want, maybe we could bring him on as a guest here with the two of us, or you and I, Lou, or the three.
I don't. Look, listen.
He'll think about it. You'll think about it.
Well, I saw him do. See, I lived in that command. Okay, I grew up in the 7-5 precinct.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, that's where I got to know a lot of people. But I never played with drugs. That was not my thing.
Yeah,
it was around. Don't get me wrong, but it was marijuana. Marijuana was all over the place.
And then crack blew up, and then that was it.
That being said, you went from Lower East Side, patrolled by yourself, one of the most dangerous communities in the city at the time, to going into the heroin, the Asian heroin, right?
Later on.
Nice. So he was involved with a lot of big cases with heroin, with various entities in Chinese organized crime, street gangs, ghost shadows, and I forget the other ones. But
I worked in. You've heard of HEIST, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I did.
Okay.
High intensity drug trafficking.
High intensity drug trafficking area. The first George Bush started it. And what he said to the NYPD was, give me 30 of your best detectives, and you get cross-designated as a U.S. Marshal and so on and so forth. And we're going to break this down into Colombians, violent drug gangs, non-traditional, and Asian heroin. Now, working in the 7th Precinct, we had a very big influx of Asian gangs moving in. And I had to get an education
I bet.
about Asian gangs. And there were 2 very prominent guys, now passed on, a guy named Mikey Wagner, God bless his soul, and Mike Wang was his partner. They taught me anything and everything about Asian gangs.
Okay.
And I had a situation where I was chasing a guy. We went to a restaurant, went down in the basement, and he was hiding, and I was moving up on him, and I didn't see him. It was a dark basement. My partner saw from the other side. The guy came out. The gun came right out in front of me. And I don't know how he didn't shoot me, or he didn't shoot my partner. And it was a slap around extravaganza. And we should have shot him, but we didn't. There was a situation where we should have taken his life because he went to trial with it.
What do he pointed a gun at you guys?
He had a loaded 25 Beretta. It was cocked. And I don't know if he tried. The gun jammed.
Oh, his gun jammed?
His gun jammed. I blocked it. Another block, which I shouldn't have done.
You said you didn't shoot him, but it was a slap down bonanza or something?
Oh, I have a picture of him. I wouldn't put it up on here because it's too graphic.
Okay, good.
Enough. Let me ask you guys this. We're kind of starting to get up against the clock now.
Yeah.
Louis, because Ignacio and I usually roll into something about Buc-ee's and Trump especially.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to ask you this. Then now, fast forward, you get into the Bad News Bear Squad, which is the organized crime thing targeting the Gambinos and Genovese, Operation Wasteland. You also have a book coming out, which we're going to throw on the screen, your cover. How much longer before we can see this book?
Well, I'm waiting to go to my marketing plan is to go to Vegas, let everybody see me, let everybody see this book cover, and sometime in the summer I'm going to get it out there. I have some of it that still has to be edited. I want to add a chapter or 2.
Okay.
It's fiction based on facts. Some of the things in there, people who know. The names are changed to protect the guilty.
But Wasteland, so that everybody knows, was the biggest organized crime prosecution, disrupting stranglehold by the mob on.
That's correct.
Private waste management and all that.
We took in $271 million in the asset forfeiture portion of the case. Nice. And Rudy Giuliani, and if you see our video, Operation Wasteland, we have a teaser. You can see it on YouTube. He went to Washington, D.C. and got another $54 million from Bill Clinton, him and Bratton. Now, the day we took this case down, we went out like a small army. 1 week we did the search warrants. There were 300 cops doing this.
That's good.
I was one of the detectives that logistically set this whole thing up. I'm not blowing my horn. I was just good at what I could do. Other guys were out there doing their thing. We worked as a team. Now, this team of detectives, known as the Bad News Bears, nobody talked to us. Nobody gave us information. Nobody could stand us. And it was all brought on by this lieutenant that we worked for. We got together and we grabbed the fire-breathing dragon by the tail, as my sergeant, Anthony Mazziani, he's passed on, told us, we're either going to continue to be the Bad News Bears or make a pact and let's get this done. And we did it, and everybody couldn't believe we did it. All together throughout the whole thing, I think it was 32 organized crime guys we locked up. We crushed organized crime controlling the private sanitation industry.
Excellent.
All right. Now, the day we took the case down at the press conference, Bill Bratton was there. I have pictures of him. I made up shirts. See that shirt? It was the private sanitation truck with the Mafia hand from The Godfather. That's Morgenthau there. He was the DA. And I had hair back then. There's a picture of me and him. We were promised at the time. There's my partner Vic on the other side. There's me.
Oh, okay.
And those are the wise guys in shackles on a daisy chain. That was the day we did the arrests. Bill Bratton promoted the sergeant, and rightfully so. Bill Bratton promoted the undercover, and rightfully so. He promoted the lieutenant, who was a hindrance to the DA's office, and he screwed our team every day. We got no overtime. We had one typewriter for 10 people.
That's crazy.
He put us in the worst conditions possible.
All right,
okay?
So Lou, I will say this: you detail this in the book that's coming out. It's detailed in Wasteland. You also gave me an extensive interview. You're going to be my co-host on Mafia Mondays. Everybody, if you want to see more details of the incredible detailed stories that Lou has for days on this very channel, check it out. We'll put out 2 parts already. It's going to be coming out every few days until we get all your story out, or whatever you're comfortable telling. So we've already have a lot of that in the can. We're still editing it up. Now here's you and Vic.
Right?
Vic, I interviewed. His show will probably be going up today. So
I saw part of it. Yes, it's beautiful. Great job.
Great. That's awesome.
Yesterday, and then we're going to be interviewing another former colleague of yours, Chris D'Elia.
Great guy. Great guy. Let me just say this. Let me just finish up with this. This entire team was promised promotions. Bill Bratton, Rudy Giuliani had a falling out. He split. The NYPD never fought for us, and all of us never got promoted.
Nothing.
After I retired, everybody got put in for medals and what have you. I didn't get a medal. Okay? I left a bitter human being. There was plenty of money to promote everybody. The saddest part of this whole situation, this is one of the reasons why I bring this out there, 6 guys in my team have now passed on. They will never see the accolades that I'm putting out here, and my partner Vic. We're telling the truth, and it's just time to do it. And Rudy Giuliani,
but better than Bill de Blasio or
forget about it.
or Eric Adams. Forget Eric Adams. He's in trouble. Forget those 2.
Watch the rest of Lou's story on Wasteland. Documentary. Read Lou's books coming out. I know you're heading to Vegas for a very important event. You can stay on with us, but we're going to talk about for the next 5 minutes or so our other stories. Real quick.
Little stories. Our books. You can see behind me, Lou. You can see behind me. I got my poster out there for my book, my autobiography, ATF Undercover. Working a lot of undercover cases with repeat violent offenders, gang members, international traffickers, domestic traffickers, and working cases with home invaders. We did a lot of armed home invader cases too. So. Interesting read also. I have it out only on, if you're a Kindle Unlimited subscriber, and my books are free and also now on Audible. So if you like listening to books, you can find my books on Audible. And I've written
fantastic.
now.
Lots of good luck to you.
Thank you. And I've written now, some books are short, some are medium, some are longer. I've written just under about 80 books in about 2 years in Amazon.
Wow.
You look at my name, Ignacio Esteban, you see 80 plus books. I've done over 200 or 300 shows already. I've taken a different world when I'm working on this stuff. I've been doing the screenplays also. I'm trying to make it into a TV series. My book also working with different producers. So a lot of stuff going on, Louis. Hope you can check my work out too. I'll be checking your stuff out.
I don't know if Bill told you, I used to do porn back in the 70s. So if you need just tease.
He said on one of his interviews with me, if this doesn't work out, I'm going to go back to doing porn. I edited that up.
Just a joke. Just a joke. Let me say this. I've worked with the ATF, very professional organization.
Thank you.
I've worked with the DEA. I worked out of the DEA headquarters when I was working with HEIST. And we could have reached out to the ATF and get an agent to come and help us. FBI?
Not so.
Okay.
Yeah, we all have the same experience. We all have the same experience. What's the term? FBI, the Phoebes, famous but incompetent.
Useless.
Yeah, a lot. We've all had issues with them. Unfortunately, it's all about the image and not about the substance. I think we all know that.
I haven't had any problems except for what they've been doing to Trump on behalf of the Democrats. And they are slow to get a case going. So now here's this.
I think he gets disgraceful what's happening in a district attorney in Manhattan. That case. What? There's so much more real crime. That's a political witch hunt. Based on Michael Cohen, the disaster, he contradicts himself a lot on the stand. Same with Stormy Daniels. We're talking about porn stars. I think it's a disgrace, and I think he gets either maybe hung jury, but I think gets acquitted. He gets acquitted. We'll see what happens. There he is. There he is himself.
There goes Cohen there, lying his ass off. Okay, so now
I see him winning the election, Bill, coming up. I see him being stumbling, bumbling Joe. Bumbling Joe's going down.
I'm afraid that the Democrats and the left wingers are going to pull a rabbit out of their hat, and something bad is going to happen, where we might go into martial law or what have you, where you cannot have an election. I think this is going to be a long, bloody summer. That's just my opinion.
Yeah,
I've been known to be wrong, but
maybe they pull Joe out and then put someone else in. Maybe Gavin Newsom or somebody comes in. They say, you know what, Joe, it's a nice knowing you. You did good, but it's time to go at the convention. We'll see. They'll try to. Democrats know he's a loser. He's a loser. He can't win. Trump, I think, now is double digits, and a lot of the swing states that Biden won now, it does not look good for Joe Biden. Does not look good.
I think they know he's going to win, but they're going to do everything they can not to make him win.
Yeah, Trump looks strong, and you know what helps him too is RFK Jr. taking votes away from Biden too. A strong independent has always sunk the incumbent president. Perot did it to Bush, and Anderson did it to Carter. So watch it again happening. So
all I know is they better keep Trump safe. You know, we don't condone anything, but I think
of course not.
The option is to try to see if they can eliminate him by illegal.
I think you're 100% correct.
We'll pray for his safety and the safety of his family members. I want to say this: my inmate to roommate on A&E Network, season 2 coming out. I may or may not be in it. I'm not even entirely sure. I am obligated to do additional shows. I became the most popular character. I'm humbled by it, and so I've written several books. 3 of them are out now. My most recent one is Bank Vault Heist, about a true bank vault heist, and I give crime prevention tips on how this heist could have been prevented. I wrote another one about Ghislaine Maxwell. I knew her briefly in South Florida before she was infamous. And my biggest selling book really is about the wealthiest serial killer in American history. Every Sunday night you'll see on HBO Max right now the new Jinx series about him and how this case got wrapped up. And you'll see Nancy Grace's name on there. She covered this while I was still incarcerated on her podcast. My co-author, Gary Greenberg, is a writer and editor with the National Enquirer to this day. Shout out to Gary. And that book's doing really well, especially.
I'm trying to get on. And I wrote a nice little forward for you, Bill, on that one with the bank robbery.
Yes, you did. Check it out. I have several other books coming out here in the next few weeks. I'm trying to get at least 2 of them out before season 2 of my show, because I starting to collaborate with a guy named Julian Hagen. Shout out to Julian. This guy has got 76 million plus views on TikTok. He's got 675,000 followers. He took my followers up in like 2 days to like 16,000 on TikTok. And so we're going to be collaborating on a few things. And I shout out to him, Bruce Sosa, Cyril DePaggio. I'm going to also be in a movie called Silent Partners. Picture 1980s Miami Vice. It's kind of that type of movie. It's based on a book by Dave Iacchevetti. So, guys, I'm very grateful to have you here. And, you know.
Yeah, man. Lou, it's nice meeting you, man. It's a pleasure. Hopefully I can talk to you again.
Listen, we got to sit down and break bread at some point in the future. Okay?
Absolutely.
God bless you. God bless you there, Uncle Bill. I call him Uncle Bill now.
Uncle Bill.
We're intimate. It's an absolute honor to be with great guys, and my circle is very small, and I only run with phenomenal people like yourselves.
Thank you, Lou. Yeah,
I feel like I'm out of my elements. I feel like I'm out of my elements sometimes because of my past poor choices, but I'm glad.
Stop. That was yesterday.
Thank you. I appreciate
that. Was yesterday.
All right, guys. Thank you, Lou. We'll talk again. Yes. Take care of yourself.
Lou, thank you. You have a good day.
God bless.
Bye-bye.
See you later on with Chris.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm going to stop the recording now.